Hello, brethren. I just wanted a short message today. I recently was doing some research on the Advisory Council of Elders from Mr. Herbert W. Armstrong that he created in 1981. In the Worldwide Church of God, he had surrounding him at an apostle level the Advisory Council of Elders, which were leading evangelists and leading ministers at that time. And he filled him with the most faithful, the most loyal to him, to help him to serve the apostle, to help give him advice and counsel on the various things in the church. And also he appointed to them the powers of counsel to choose a successor for Mr. Armstrong. Now, that's very important because I just recently found a quote from Mr. Aaron Dean saying that every other member, since he was part of the Advisory Council of Elders at the time of Mr. Armstrong's death, he was removed in March of the same year of 1986 by Joe DeKoch Sr. because he warned Mr. DeKoch of not fulfilling his promises that he made to Mr. Armstrong. And also, Mr. DeKoch wanted him to give a sermon to say that he was made an apostle, and he said he could not do that. And so I posted recently on the page a little quote from Mr. Aaron Dean. I actually found it on a website created by a Craig White, and he's in another group, but he was trying to find history on the Advisory Council of Elders. And so he provided this quote from Mr. Aaron Dean. Now, Aaron Dean says he never gave up his council power, signed it away like the others did to Mr. DeKoch when he asked him to. And so he is the living, surviving member of the Advisory Council of Elders. And I apologize for the noise behind me. It's Memorial Day weekend, and everyone's out here boating on the river. But he is the living and surviving member of the Advisory Council of Elders. And he's the only one that has the council powers to do anything in the church, because everyone else vacated, gave it up, and just left. Because here's another thing is just like with today's special music about rendering unto God what belongs to God, is you can't, if you give it up, if something's taken by an enemy of the church or an enemy of Christ, you can got some watchers here. They do not own that. What is legitimate cannot be overthrown by the illegitimate. And it's just like with Christ, and God gave legitimately a government to Lucifer. And then when Christ came the first time, he legitimately overcame and qualified to replace him. And so the legitimacy of Mr. Dean's authority is real. There's a lot of other ministers who have gone out to create new groups, who establish new governments, new church groups, new organizations, and they never had authority to do that. And so we need to remember that, because that's another bit of information that hasn't been well known to the Church of God. That time period surrounding Mr. Armstrong's death and forward in the first 5-6 years is real clouded with mystery. It's almost as if it's the modern day version of the dark period, where there's no one standing up and telling the story. And I think Mr. Dean has a special role, because he can tell the story from a first-hand view. And we need to be praying for Mr. Dean, and because he is the remaining member of the council. And if the council, him remaining, exists, the rest of the church does exist. He's able to bring back the ministry to the Worldwide Church of God, because he is the only one on the council who is able to choose a successor and appoint the ministry. The rest of the ministry leaving to Koch and even didn't have the authority except to pastor their own congregations, and a lot of them left that and went and tried to create a larger corporation, larger organization, and they took on roles from the apostle and roles on the evangelist, and a lot of them eliminated that and said it's all the work of the elders. Well, they recreating and revamping different government forms to try to make things work, but it's not working. It's creating confusion for the body of Christ, and the Worldwide Church of God is not destroyed. I'm just a lay member, and I'm just speaking to you right now as a lay member. I'm not an ordained minister, but my family was a little bubble of Worldwide Church of God membership. I'm meeting with a lot of brethren who are holding fast individually. And we don't have a resident minister because the ministry has vacated the Worldwide Church of God organism. The unincorporated association, they vacated for a different association. And a lot of them in these other groups would say our formal association with the Worldwide Church of God. Well, the Worldwide Church of God is the spiritual organism that was spiritually organized by Jesus Christ from heaven through the apostle, Mr. Herbert W. Armstrong. And Mr. Armstrong took the leading men of the church and made an advisory council of elders around him, and then gave them the powers to choose a successor. Now, out of all those who had authority laid upon them in that fashion, only Aaron Dean remains. And that's very special. That's something that's not going to be, shouldn't be overlooked, because these other people are claiming that power, but they never had the power. Victor Kubik with Joe DeCoch Jr. in 1993 established a new regional structure that was completely contrary to the wishes and directives of the apostle. And so he took that step away. And then from that step, he tried to create unity and cohesion. But still a step away from the temple, because he took a step away from the apostle. And if the apostle is with Jesus Christ, and we're there following him to Christ, and following Christ to God the Father, and we're walking the same path and all agreeing, we shouldn't be out of step or in disagreement at all with the apostle, because the apostle finished his lifetime. And we can look at his lifetime and see, hey, he made mistakes, but he overcame them. He repented. He let God and Jesus Christ rule him. And it's our turn now, since he's already sealed for the world tomorrow, for the to rise up with Christ in the air as God is God, as part of the God family. He is already sealed. He's ready. He's going to come back in a resurrection, just with all the rest of the saints of God. Now, if he's already sealed, we now have to stay faithful and true. And we can't take a step to the right nor to the left. And we gotta be obedient and do what is pleasing to God. And we have to look at what God says in his word to do. We can't, God's word says to obey the servant of God. The apostle, all the scriptures in the New Testament says to remember what the apostle taught and to hold fast to it. To don't divert from it. And so, like with Victor Kubik on the UCG, he diverted from it, and they built a special group, and then they ordained Aaron Dean as the first minister under their illegitimate power, because they took a step away from Christ. They now ordained him as a minister of what? An illegitimate church organization, because it's no longer the Worldwide Church of God as Christ gave through the apostle. And it's keeping Aaron Dean from being able to come back to the back to formation, because now he's formed with them, and he's formed with friends and people he's grown up with, gone to school with, and so he's keeping his personal word to them as an because he's as an honest man. When he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it, and so he is keeping his word with them, but that organization is keeping him from coming back and reassembling as the Worldwide Church of God, because he is the last remaining member of the Advisory Council of Elders, and they are the ones who is supposed to direct the church and protect the church. And without a church, he has no way of coming back. There's no reason for him to come back if the church, he thinks that the church is all over with him in this little side group. We need to get back to what we was taught, be the church, the Worldwide Church of God membership, and support the ministry as they are being restored to this church, because God added us to this spiritual body, to this church. He added the ministers to it as well. And it's not our job to criticize them or to condemn them for mistakes or things that they've done in the past, but it is our job to encourage them and to pray for them to be restored, and for everyone to come back together as God intended. And that is what we need to do and what we need to focus on, because the Worldwide Church of God is much alive. It has not been killed off. It's not been destroyed. And it doesn't take an organization of men to determine the existence of the church, because we are not supposed to render what God belongs to God to Caesar, to men, to servants of sin. We are not supposed to render. A lot of people will say the Worldwide Church of God went apostate. That's rendering what belongs to God to Satan, the devil. Because the Church of God, the true Church of God, which the Worldwide Church of God is, did not go apostate. Apostates went apostate. Those outside the church went outside the church. Those inside the church are inside the church. Those outside the church are outside the church. You see what I mean? And so if if we give affirmation to the apostates, we are giving them our approval. We are saying, hey, it's okay. You claimed, you lied. You claimed to be the Worldwide Church of God. You even had a legal, for a time, perhaps an illegal argument that you were the Worldwide Church of God, but you got it. We don't want it no more. If you really believe that you don't want anything to do with the Worldwide Church of God, then you are well outside of the church. You don't belong here, because you're not going to like what I'm going to say or anything the church says, because the Worldwide Church of God is the Worldwide Church of God. Those outside the church don't care. They want to see it dead. They say, oh, it's in the past. Leave it there. Well, to those who say that, you don't belong here. You really don't. If you want to be an enemy of God, go ahead. Be something different. Go ahead and say the Worldwide Church of God's been destroyed. Because in your eyes and eyes, maybe it is destroyed. Maybe you keep living that over and over and over again with your mind, saying, it's dead, it's dead, it's dead, it's dead. Oh, it's apostate, it's apostate. You're constantly brainwashing yourself with a lie. Because if you're calling the Church of God something that can be killed and goes against Christ's promise in Matthew 16, you are Antichrist and you're not a Christian. And therefore, you're not part of the true Church of God. And so you have absolutely no say and absolutely no authority within the Church of God to say such things. Because if you are a follower of Jesus Christ, you will believe what Christ says, that the gates of hell shall not prevail against the Church of God. And it's not about jumping ship and saying I have the authority to appoint, to organize and everything. That just like what all these ministers have been doing with these different groups. It's about recognizing the power and authority of Jesus Christ and who gave it to, because the ministry is based on ordination through the hands of men. And so they are ordained by the hands of men, and they are not just specially independently chosen by God. When Saul was converted on Damascus Road, Ananias had to come and lay hands on him. It took someone from within the church to put their hands on them. And out of all the other ministers acting beyond the boundaries of what they are supposed to do, the only man who has been doing his job, but just hasn't been able to do it in a greater sense, is Mr. Aaron Dean. Now, he's attending some other group wasn't created by him, but it was created by others that have gone and left Christ. And we need to pray about this and keep praying for him and praying that Christ returns and restores everything, because he's going to restore the Worldwide Church of God before we go to a place of safety. He's going to restore the ministry before he returns. And so we need to remember that. And so I hope you have a wonderful Sabbath day. I talked longer than I expected and was planning to, but I hope you have a wonderful Sabbath day, and I will talk to you next time.